Once again, we will be starting in about 5 minutes, just waiting for more people to join in. Today's session is on the esoteric trader, self-knowledge. I have Mark here with me.
What's up, family?
Great pleasure to have him in my vicinity here in Costa Rica. It's a pleasure to have him on here with the session here with you guys. But it's even more of a pleasure to have him here in my vicinity and, you know, down here in Costa Rica, chilling, masterminding here for the past past month or so. So we're gonna go over some really deep topics. A lot of these topics have never been discussed in the realm of trading. A lot of these aspects are occult in the realm of trading. And yet they're principles that every trader should know. Yo, Brandon, how you doing? We got Brandon on here.
Yo, 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 what's up?
What's up, bro?
I'm good.
Yeah, you gonna like this session, bro.
Yep, I'm just observing.
It's gonna be a great session, yo. Check out the shirt.
Yep. Sig. Easy money.
How can you guys see the screen or the whiteboard? Is it okay? Can you guys kind of see it all right?
I might need to bring it forward a little bit.
You'll bring the table forward?
Sure. Yeah, bring the table forward a little bit.
That's right. It doesn't have to be super clear, but
yeah, that's good. People should be able to see now.
All right.
Okay, nice.
All right, awesome. We got Ben, Danish, Jerry, Cole, Clancy. Great to see everybody with us here. All right, we will be starting in about 1 minute. Just waiting for the room to fill up. Once again, this session is on the esoteric trade, self-knowledge, the importance of self-knowledge, cultivating self-knowledge, cultivating energy. We're going to be touching a lot of different topics. So stay tuned. Grab a notebook and a pencil if you have one near. This will be recorded, so we might put this on YouTube as well. So greetings to everyone on YouTube. We got Colin here. Martin, great to see everybody in here. Greetings, fam.
All right. Let's get it. You start the recording.
Yeah, bro. Today's session, like we mentioned, is on the esoteric trading, self-knowledge. Some of the topics go in line with the principles of natural law. What are principles, Mark?
All right, so now we deal with principles. Again, when you know the word esoteric, that deals mainly with the inner world, the inner workings of the human being, and your direct relationship to the cosmic laws, to natural law. So the principles of natural law, if you break down the word principle from its root word in Latin, Principle means first, foremost, and the most necessary to know and learn. Now, the funny thing is, a principle is something that we were supposed to know from birth. But you guys already know how the education system, you know, how it all works, where it came from. So we ain't really gonna get into that. But the root core of success, if you really listen to anybody, when it comes to success in life, is self-knowledge. That's the most important thing. See, self-knowledge opens the doorway for mastery of self. Now, self-knowledge is like an abstraction, right? It's a mental understanding. Now, what the mental understanding does is allows you to put things into application in your life. See, before you do, you have to know. So that's the main thing we want, we kind of hit home, because even with trading, you know that it's a lot of emotions that arise. It's fear of missing out. And we go through so much as traders trying to learn our strategy. I don't care if you had 2, 3 good months. You could have a week or 2 weeks for some reason, and you just keep losing, you keep losing. That's where you need to get your mind and your emotions and your breathing right. Just because you had a bad week, that does not mean your strategy is not working. You see, so it's about, these principles are important, but there's certain things to know, especially in the hardships of this business, okay? So dealing with principles of natural law, you could, I don't know if you guys could read it, but right under here, okay, we have a thing called a circadian rhythm, and the circadian rhythm is literally like, it's the biological clock of the human body. So for example, when you wake up, and let's say you wake up on sunrise, and when you wake up, you go outside, and the sunlight hits your body, hits your eyes, hits your skin. The pineal gland starts to secrete serotonin, okay? Now, this is without you thinking. See, you have a lot of people that would kind of tell you, oh, we'll do affirmations. I'm not saying affirmations don't work and you don't have your little poster board of your little success and things you want to visually manifest. But it's more powerful when it's backed up by the forces, okay? Because your body is connected to nature, all right? So without even thinking, your pineal secretes serotonin into the blood. This helps you to be more enthusiastic about life. You could start your yoga, asanas, meditation, whatever it is. But even waking up with the sun, going out there, getting the serotonin secreted, this does help you to gear towards more energy towards your visualizations. Now, at noontime, dealing with the circadian rhythm, the liver starts to secrete bile. And not everyone truly understands that without bile secretion, no food will do you any justice. Because the only way for food to be assimilable and usable by the body is that it has to first mix with bile. And the highest form of digestive juices and bile secretions happen at 12 o'clock p.m. So ideally between, let's say, 12 to 2 p.m. is when you want to actually eat your biggest meal. Why? Because the forces around that time when the sunlight is out at its highest peak, the liver is backed up by the forces to secrete more bile, to digest and break down that food. Now we also have going later on in the day, because as the sun positions in the daytime in your body, it starts to position and change biological processes in the body. You could get into intricate detail when you look this up on Google and do some mass research on it. because it's not enough knowing what to eat. It's how to eat and when to eat. Now, how to eat, that comes from I think I did that in the first class about what it was, not the food pyramid, but I break down the enzymic limitations of the body, which is natural law 2 expressed in the body. So the enzymes reflect chi energy, reflect the nervous system, okay? So, for example, if you eat meat, it's an enzyme called pepsin that breaks down meat and makes it digestible and to some degree usable by the body, okay? Now the problem is when you eat starch, those two don't go together, meat and starch. Starch is digested in the mouth by an enzyme called ptyalin. So the only way for starches to be digested properly, you have these parotid glands that when you masticate the starch with saliva, that's when ptyalin goes to work. But the problem is if you eat something acidic, meat, even tomatoes acidic, that don't go with starches. It will inhibit the ptyalin from being secreted. And then what happens is the meat or any acid you mix with starch, the starch will go undigested in the body, okay? So understand, when you're dealing with even eating food, there's a certain process going on, okay? And even mixing too much things ain't all that good because the body has to then synthesize a specific enzyme for that particular food. So you could look at, on Google, you could look at the food combining chart, and that will help you to kind of gauge, and this is all for energy now. Everything we talk about here is providing you and things that I apply with the skill set of energy management. And the funny thing is, that's the most powerful skill set on the planet. On the planet. So anytime you know how to harness and conserve more of your energy, whatever thoughts, whatever desires, even with back testing a strategy, even with waking up for London session, you have more energy to actually bring that into manifestation. You see? So as we go on later in the day, dealing with the position of the sun and the moon in the circadian rhythm, the sunlight causes the pineal to secrete serotonin, as we said. Now when we get to nighttime, that's when the moonlight will, on nighttime when it's dark, will cause the pineal to secrete melatonin. Now serotonin and melatonin, they go hand in hand. The more serotonin you have secreted, the more melatonin the pineal will secrete, or it will transmutate the serotonin into melatonin. The melatonin is what kicks you into sleep, okay? And it's also what kicks the liver to start cleansing the blood. So understand, the next thing we have down here, it's called deep sleep therapy. A lot of people never even heard of that. And they don't know that before midnight is the most, literally the most important sleep that you could ever get all night. The most important. As a matter of fact,
What are the exact hours?
between 9 to 10 p.m., especially that hour, is when the liver kicks on and starts to become more active to cleansing the blood. It's not secreting bile now. The bile was mainly secreted when the sun was out. So at this time is not really the ideal time to eat food, regardless of what it is. So that's why people that believe that the diet or food is like this end all be all, it's just, you will not find balance in food alone. Food only is beneficial at certain times of the day. If that, you know, so between 9 to 10 p.m., they call it deep sleep therapy. A lot of people heal themselves by simply either meditating in darkness or going to sleep around 9 o'clock. I'll say 9 to 11 p.m. Very important hours, because the liver is now backed up to cleanse the blood by the forces of nature. Okay? It's not, see, the liver just don't, the liver have different functions, but at this time, when it comes to cleansing the blood of toxicity, cleansing the body, these 2 hours are the most important. So if you cannot sleep, if you know how we are, if we can't fall asleep at 9, you still get 95% of the benefits when you lay down in darkness, especially if you know how to meditate. That's another deep thing in and of itself, because meditation is meant to cultivate energy. It isn't just about me silencing my mind, trying to find inner peace. It ain't just about that. It's literally learning how to cultivate energy for the body and the mind. You see, so understand the deep sleep therapy. You will allow the liver to do the work on the blood, and cleaner blood brings a more cleaner mental clarity. Okay? And again, especially if you wake up to London, let's say you have a job. I had to wake up to London session when I was working on the plantation. And these were the things that allowed me to have that balance. And don't get me wrong, family, you don't have to know any of this, but understand this. You don't have to know how to read. You have some people that have a landscaping company, they don't know how to read, but they're still successful. So what I'm saying is, but if you know how to read, it makes things a little easier. That's all I'm saying. So this self-knowledge brings or gears you towards energy management. That's what we're talking about, you know?
Anything you're talking about.
You see?
I guess the next topic is going to be fasting. One of the main things that I focus on in the morning, because I normally trade New York session, is I get up and I'll wash myself, do whatever I need, but I will not eat. I will not breakfast. I will not have breakfast. I know there are so many people that think, you know, right when you get up, you need to have breakfast. How many people have heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? Yet the word itself, breakfast, means you're breaking a fast. You were sleeping for 8, 9 hours, and then you got up to eat, just to break that fast. When you fast, or excuse me, when you eat, when you ingest food, the blood that's running through your brain that you need to think clearly rushes down to your stomach in order to extract the nutrients and bring them to where they need to go in the body from the food. So instead of having that edge in the morning, 90% of the population, all these retail traders are eating what? Pancakes, some bacon, all that necessary blood that's used to think clearly and have an edge is here.
Right. You ain't even utilizing your own blood work properly, because blood is almost, it's like crystals, like liquid crystals. And when this internal river is flowing without obstructions, you could then use that, instead of using it to digest, you could then use it again for critical observation. And you know this business, see the difference between this business and any other one? When we make mistakes, we lose money. So that's a big problem. If you have a job, you could make a mistake, you know, here and there, not too much, right? But you still will get your paycheck. But with this business, you lose money. And you can't handle your whatever it is you need to handle from your account, if you're living off your account. So understand when it comes, you see how we kind of broke that down coming from circadian rhythm. Now the principles of natural law, there is a book, a link to an ebook called The 7 Hermetic Principles of the Universe. That's the foundation teaching you the 7 basic principles of natural law. Okay? So we'll put that in the link, maybe on YouTube, even in the academy, so you could just read that, you know, and that has a lot of more detail into it. You see? So fasting, diet. Now, diet that's a touchy one because everybody different. Okay? And a lot of diets, a lot of methods that work for people, I ain't gonna lie, it come from placebo effect. So even if you eat something, you go on this diet and you really don't believe in it, you may not knowledgeable in it, you may not get the benefits. So a lot of benefits originate from the mind. So ideally, my diet, a diet that allows you to cultivate more energy, is usually a diet of food that's rich in the still water and minerals, meaning the food mostly has water. I say the still water because all nature water is the still water, or rainwater, urine, fruits, all of it is the still water. But the real water that hydrates you is one that's with minerals, vitamins. Ideally, you know, I can bring up fruits. Fruits are really the ideal breakfast, okay? Even after, let's say after, for example, you don't analyze the market. We just talk about just taking care of yourself, which is energy management, okay? Now understand that anytime you want to enhance your life, and we know that there are a cabal out there that kind of played with our minds, that orchestrated our education system, but they continue to reign over humanity based on humanity not learning how to manage their own energy. That's it. The reason he was indoctrinated into the system was to make sure we don't manage our own energy. It ain't about good and evil no more. It's about a direct responsibility of how well you can cultivate energy, how well you could direct the forces to go in your favor. So next, I see Dylan wrote here, semen retention. That's a big one, all right? If you don't know about semen retention, your sperm, understand your sperm, your semen, comes from your brain. It comes from your cerebrum. It's a lot about it on the internet. You see? Now your cerebrum, get this, it gets deep. When you in your mother's womb, the embryo, when the sperm penetrates the egg, there's a little infinitesimal implosion that happens. An infinitesimal just means it's so small, it's at a microscopic level that cannot be seen with the naked eye. So when the sperm penetrates the egg, a little implosion happens, and you could think of it almost as like a portal opening up to start kind of having like a magnetizing effect to start threading together the necessary material to start cultivating that body for that next soul to come in. Okay? So when the sperm penetrates the egg and the embryo starts to gestate, the first organ to manifest in the process is your cerebrum. The first organ. Cerebrum, pineal gland. This is why, again, when you're dealing with Satan, this is why the church said that Satan was the first angel in heaven. You see? Now there's the pineal activates at night. They call it like the dark angel. You see? So the first thing that grows for the body is the cerebrum, and then your brain forms, and it kind of, you grow from up, down, okay? Mine is like an upside down tree, basically saying we come more from a higher place, okay? And the gift that's bestowed to you to spiritualize your body is secreted in your cerebrum. It's a fluid, and they call it cerebral spinal fluid. This is what the Jordan River in the Bible also is symbolic of, okay? The Jordan River is symbolic of the cerebral spinal fluid, bathing the, being contained, and it's just kind of bathing the human body, restructuring, rebuilding the human body like you're baptized. Baptism is based on conserving this sacred oil, okay? So as it secreted by the cerebrum, is passed to the pineal gland, okay? I think it's electrified. But what happens is, it's passed to the pineal gland, then passed to the pituitary. Because the pineal gland deals mainly with the non-physical. The pituitary gland deals with in-house, with the body. She sends the command, that's why she's the feminine principle. The pineal is the masculine. Anything that's masculine is spirit, is non-physical. Anything that's feminine is more like matter, materialization. This is why they say Mother Earth, Spirit Father. So even the whole thing about a woman being in the house come from the anatomy. The pituitary gland deals with the inner workings. She gets the instructions from the pineal gland, and then from the cerebrum to the pineal to the pituitary gland, that secretion is differentiated through the endocrine system. If you research the endocrine system, that deals with the higher realities of mind. So the pituitary then passes it on to the different glands. And notice each gland has a certain chakra associated with it. So you can talk about chakras and try to split it up into different names, but it's all just one flow and one movement of this energy. That's all it is. You see, people get caught up in the labels and the names. So the problem is the cerebral spinal fluid, when you lust, and let's say you're addicted to sex, the cerebral spinal fluid is converted into sperm. And you ejaculate out your vital life force. Okay? And that's brain fluid. So a lot of brain power is left. The sperm is the most pristine most pristine materials are made from the constituents of the blood. It's a product of the blood, but it's the highest material of the blood. So it ain't just, let me just bust a nut. Even when brothers say bust a nut, look at the word nutrition. Nutrition, N-U-T. The Egyptians had a god named Nut, N-U-T. And Nut literally meant the power that preceded the sun, that preceded physical manifestation. So even the sun is getting energy from somewhere else. They call it the black sun, the dark star. That's a whole nother topic. Okay? It's the biggest star in the whole galaxy. So this energy, okay, Nut would represent what even helped to power the sun, the earth. Think about it. That's why you deal with nutrition. And nutrition just deals with cultivating and managing energy. But people think nutrition is this thing where you put something in your mouth. But you gotta stretch, meditate, know when to eat, get sunlight, plant your feet in the ground. It's an array of things, even in a holistic life, okay? How is the relationship with your family, with your wife, with your husband, you know? So, you know, it's a lot we can get to in with that, but senior retention is a very important thing, and you gotta learn how to transmutate it as well. That's where the Qigong conscious breathing comes in. You can't just hold in your sperm without doing certain exercises. That's why the yoga asanas, the certain postures and stretches allow for the fluid, the blood flow, the lymphatic system, the cerebral spinal fluid to flow through you without obstruction. And this allows the body to transmutate the sperm much better. But if you just hold in your semen and don't do any of these exercises, then you could build an obstruction, and then you could push it out in a wet dream. The body will just push it out. So it's even a skill set in learning how to manage that. You see? So again, we only talk about energy management, and this directly reflects everything you do in life. Everything you do. And it's important to know that it's different when you step into mastery, okay? But when you're learning, okay, you're learning a strategy. You want to make sure you're on point. It takes a while to, even from what Dylan teach, what I teach, what Brandon teach, and all the mentors, it's still difficult because it's so subjective. Going back to technical analysis, I could draw up a zone and trend line, and you could draw it from the wick body, and it would be slightly different, and you wouldn't even see what I see. So this is still all on you. And anytime you in drawdown, this is where all these things help you to build energy to deal with the hardships of risk. Risk is, see, we got to understand that your job is to manage risk. If you think, oh, well, I'm a trader, really what you should say is I manage risk. Risk is not something you fear, but you fear it if it's not managed properly. You notice that word manage again. Same with energy. Energy could backfire on you if you don't manage it properly. Same thing with risk. Okay, so becoming a manager of risk, you also have to be very observant in the moment when your emotions rise. When you're sitting down, you're looking at a trade, you really thought it was everything that you back tested. You come back and you like 20, 30 pips in drawdown, whatever. And right there and then, or let's say whatever your stop loss is, let's say you use a 20 pip stop loss. You got 15 pips in the negative, right? And your emotions will start to arise. You took some losses before, and then you just cancel a couple, just cancel the trade. Then what happens? It goes back up. It goes back up. How much time that happened? Not every fucking trade is gonna be perfect. And that's the problem. People looking for perfection. There ain't no perfection in this shit. There is none. Someone was asking me, well, how do I work on entries? The market change every week. Sometimes my entries on point, sometimes they're a little off, but it still misses my stop loss. You see, so it ain't about perfection. It's doing your best to manage your energy, manage your risk, manage your emotions, and the conscious breathing. When you in that moment on drawdown, notice if you breathing from your chest, you may be doing shallow breathing. Breathe into your abdomen, okay? Meaning it have to be, when you breathe in, your stomach gotta come out. When you breathe out, your stomach go in. So it's like this. That's how we should naturally breathe anyway. But when you're able to do that, and there's certain intricate details as well, like touching the tip of your mouth with your tongue, closes a circuit, stimulates the pineal. It's a lot of intricate details. I do have a esoteric school, an academy where I teach the little details of meditation and certain life hacks. You know, we'll put that my YouTube channel link under this video, but understand it's still very important for you to master self. Trading is only a reflection of self-mastery. Anything you go with? Yeah, I feel like I've been talking.
No, we got about 4 minutes left. So, you know, like Mark said, when you guys are in drawdown, just pay attention to how you're breathing. Because when I started trading, when I was, for example, in drawdown or the trade wasn't going my way or something, or even over risking, I would get so caught up in the trade in my head that I realized that I was like, I was breathing so shallow, I could have just passed out. Like, it's crazy how when you're not conscious of what's happening, because you're so in your head that your body just kind of is in like just a basic survival mode. It's not even thriving. It's not even really trying, because you're so focused or so just in your head because of something, you know, either drawdown or something like that.
Yep. And that's what is really important. Again, like I had a trade, literally came one pip of my stop loss. I didn't close it. I just breathed. You know, I could close it down, lose $200, or I think around that's the contract size I had, but I'll accept the risk. I put it in there, I gotta accept it. And then boom, news came out, and I think I put that in the Academy, Australia, New Zealand. News came out, and then it shot up aggressively. You know, so it's like, again, remember this, every trade brings out a different emotion. Some trades go immediately into profit, and you have a state of euphoria. We love those days. Other trades, you enter it go up. Well, let's say you predicted it went long, it went up, came back down, consolidated, came here, went back up, came back down, consolidated. And then that could kind of mess with your mind, right? So you deal with patience. Then you have another trade where you go in, and it just, boom, go and hit your stop loss immediately. Okay? Different emotions. There are different aspects of you that come out in each trade. Each trade is like a life cycle, an incarnation, okay? The minute you click that button, that's when the experience begins on trading. You see, so the life cycle, look at it like that. Don't expect the exact same thing every time.
Yeah.
Just know, in each life cycle, there was something that was feedback mechanism back to you to start to perfect yourself. Because mastery, only consistency, only come from inconsistency, from straight losses, just losing and losing. Then after a while, you develop that intuition. You see? So again, family, just focus on the inner self, especially when it comes to difficult times. And it will happen if you try to learn this. Something I promise you, you will have fucking losing streaks. Without a doubt. Ain't nothing you can do to stop that shit. Because in the losing streak is where you find your reward. There ain't no money in the market. It's money inside you. The market is chaotic, but it's you that